can say yes or no because they're neutral parties who well, they're neutral parties. Oh, there we go. Now I'm back on YouTube. They're neutral parties that have no stake whatsoever in who wins or who loses. Okay? They go, nope, the rule is written like this, and this is how we're running it at this tournament. It's done. It's nice to have an arbiter. All right? And the second bit is with meta chasing, like with Black Summer, like last year in 40K with the rise of the Eldar, that sells more product, so companies tend to give more support to that style of play. Let's be real. I make it very clear that I'm a casual player. Which means I play for the love of playing. I just like rolling dice. I'm not out to win prizes. Hell, most of the time I'm not even out to win the game. I'm just happy to play because I have childhood trauma to where I was never picked for any team and I was raised under the singular premise of go away. So the fact that I get to play is something that I'm like, wee, this is fun. You know? Do I take efficient teams? I really don't. Even in my best days of War Machine, I had armies that were balanced across the board. Okay? I had an answer for everything that could come up, but I didn't have a great answer for everything that could come up. And anybody that built an efficient team that was specialized in a particular thing, I was never prepared for. But that's okay. I had fun playing as long as I could play. Where was I going with this? Hang on. Support. That's right. So a lot of these things get support from companies because that's where the money is spent. And it's neither good nor bad. It just is. All right. Now, a lot of you guys know me very well at this point. Y'all know I 3D print just about everything because I don't have Games Workshop money, nor do I ever plan on playing at any official events. Okay? I just like playing games. And if I can sit down and play, cool. You know, there's a lot of division with people going, no, this game is this game is this isn't a board game, this is a mini, and it's like, dude, whoa, relax, pull back. Your games are whatever you want them to be. Okay? There's a dude on YouTube and Twitch called YT Gaming. And recently, I think it was last week, like I said, I've been working a lot, but an announcement came up in the subscription tab on my YouTube, and he's like, can I beat Fallout New Vegas doing just this? And you know what? That stuff is amazing. Now, I'm not saying speed runs are bad. I'm not saying that if you play efficiently, you're bad. I'm not saying anything like that. If you're new to this channel, I'm not the guy that says you're bad. That's not me. I'm the guy that says, if you are in one way of playing, it may increase your fun to try a different way. Now, I actually have some sort of presentation thing set up today because I did a little more prep. I am tired, so let's get to this. Now, I'm going to pull up the Army Builder for one-page rules, okay? Because one, it's the best. It is really the best Army Builder out there. And this is something that will lead into our next segment, okay? One-page rules, Army Builder. Because you see, I want to show what I'm talking about when it comes to this whole efficiency and fun narrative. All right? Because this isn't just me pulling stuff out of my butt. This really isn't. So we are going to head in to the one-page rules thing. Ooh, wrong one. That's boop and boop. All right. So we're here, and we are going to go into the most generic part of one-page rules, being the Battle Brothers. Inspired by, but legally distinct from Space Marines. So let's go to create a list. Just creating a list. All right. You know, this thing should be on dark mode. But it isn't, and I don't like all the white. It washes out the thing, okay? Stop it. Turn that off. Turn it on. Okay, well, either way, we're gonna... Oh, there we go. Ah, so much better. Now you guys can see. So, what we've got here are the Battle Brothers. All right? And with this... Is this backwards? Let me double check. It is. Let me just flip. There we go. All right, now we're back. All right, this is good. This is good. So, what we're going to take a look at here is, you know, we got our leaders. We have our units. We've got our vehicles. We got our artillery. Okay, and these are the Battle Brothers, so you guys might know these guys as Firstborn. Okay, yeah, there we go. Hang on, let me just transform, fit to screen. That's better. All right, so let's take a look at just a plain old set of Battle Brothers. These are your stock, standard, Firstborn Marines. These are them. All right, just that's what we got. And let me put myself on the other side of the screen here. Boom. All right. So, we've got our guys. We got our Battle Brothers. All right. They have quality 3, but what else do they have? They've got 5 close combat weapons at A1. They have 5 heavy rifles at 24 inches. However, we have so many upgrades we can do. We can replace one of the heavy rifles with a flamer or a gravity pistol or a plasma pistol. And a lot of this stuff comes down like 36 inches, one shot, AP3, deadly 3, which means whatever this thing shoots, it's going to damage for 3 damage. All right? That's big. We've got a plasma cannon. Okay, plasma cannon down here. Look at the plasma cannon. And the plasma cannon right here, we can totally do one shot, AP4, and blast 3. That will take out pretty much any infantry unit. You know, but we've got so many options. You know, but quite honestly, also the banner helps them not fail morale test, and medical training gives them a chance to not take damage. Now, if I was going to optimize the crap out of this, we have 150 points out of 2,000, but for 5 of these guys, boom, boom. And now, veteran infantry gives them +1 to all of their attacks. So now they hit on 2 pluses. They defend on 3s. All right. And if I wanted to be that guy, which why not, We can add a master brother and give him nope. Nope. Give him someone that gives him a lot of spells. Let's see. Yep, target friendly unit gets AP +2 the next time they charge. With time passage. And what else can I give them on this? Yeah, I can give him veteran infantry. So yeah, so what this guy does, actually, you know what? Advanced tactics. That's what we're going to do. Because this allows another friendly unit a free move of 6 inches. So I put these two guys together, and then I combine the unit, and then what was 230 points is now 530 points of some of the strongest infantry you can get out there. And I haven't even upgraded any of these guys as weapons. So let's go for a heavy machine gun. Actually, what do we have at 24 inches? 24? No, that's fine. Because, a gravity cannon. That's what I'm talking about. So at 24 inches, these guys get what? What is their weapon? Heavy rifles A1, so that's 8 plus 8, 16 shots before the main guy. And what can I give the oh, there we go. Yeah. 24 inches, 24 inches, 24, 24, boom. Yeah. So now we've made this unit 23, 25 shots with massive armor penetration that works from 2 feet across the board, and we've given them all regeneration. All right? At 680 points, we've given them all that stuff. And these guys are going to be really hard to take down in a single turn. All right? And that's huge. But is it fun? Is it fun? Now, in one sense, okay, in one sense, it could be fun if you're playing the game of you can't take me down. However, if you're playing the whole game and you're trying to get objectives and you're trying to do all that stuff, you know, there's so many aspects of the game that you miss out on, okay? I want to take a look at these options again to show you what I mean. All right? Now, when we take a look at all these options right here, if you're going to maximize efficiency, there would be one line. Just one. Take it, do this. Take it, do this. Take it, do this. But a lot of folks spent a lot of time, okay, really a lot of time, coming up with all of these different weapon options. And that's huge. You know, that really is huge. With the idea, oh, no wonder. Yeah, that needs to be on, and yeah. Cool, that's back on. A lot of people took a lot of time to put all these options there because a good game has a flavor for every person that tries to play it. Now, it's actually kind of funny. The movie Gamers, I believe it's Darkness Rising, tackled this head on. No, it was Heart of Darkness. Tackled it head on when they brought a new person into their gaming group, and the new person to Dungeons and Dragons wanted to talk to NPCs. where everyone else is like, no, we know where the bad guy is. We're doing all this. We're using all of this out of character knowledge. We know where the traps are. We know how to get to all that stuff. And they essentially skipped over a lot of the stuff that the GM did. Okay, at least they wanted to, but she made them stop. And they played a different type of game than the kind that they'd played 100 times before and honestly never finished. You know, and this is a really big thing. When I talk about optimizing the fun out of a game, understand that inherently, in game design, there is very few what my old gaming groups used to call traps. You know, it's very rare that a game gets published with features that feel like they were just trying to fill up space. A lot of the time, something is there more for flavor than victory. However, most good games and most published games are published under the premise that they're always beatable, that victory is always on the table. Sometimes it's a harder road. Sometimes it's super easy, barely a catchphrase from a different channel, okay? But everything that's on the sheet and every option we have is an option that can be explored and have fun with. All right? So we're going to go to commercial real quick, and then we'll come back with that second bit. Okay? The second part of our title. We'll get there. So, how's it going, Miss Moozalot? Neon, hey, you're back, and you're not trolling, which means you must be having a serious day at work. But it's good to have you back here, man. Seriously. Gaming Fix, holding it down. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. As I said at the beginning of the show, sorry I have not been getting back to you, but I've been working essentially the equivalent of 11-hour days for almost a month now. Was not very difficult, I can tell you what. Yeah, pretty difficult. Kind of hard, that kind of thing. Yeah, it has been rough. Truth be told, I am sore as all get out, and I am so happy that I'm filmed from the waist up right now. And the heat doesn't exactly bother me, so that's a plus. And we're back. So, let's talk about numbers versus narrative. Now, on Father's Day, I got to teach my adopted daughter and my godson how to play one-page rules. And I brought out my painted figures, and I set up terrain, and we were doing all that. And a lot like new players do, they were so focused on the numbers and getting the rules right that they were losing the experience. Okay? So what did I do? While they were playing their little game, I'm like, okay, so this little character did this, and I started describing the stuff that was coming down. You know, I don't care if you're playing D&D, Magic the Gathering, any tabletop war game. The abstraction of the game comes down to numbers, all right? This is something I saw a lot in the days of World of Warcraft, okay? Everyone was talking about 10% increases and damage per second and rendering time and all that other stuff. But I very rarely heard people talk about the personal narrative of the story. What do I mean? Well, let's take the DC Superheroes game as an example. Better yet, let's take HeroClix. It's less math. All right? So, your Batman is on a piece of hindering terrain, and he's trying to incapacitate Cyclops. Okay? So he uses Outwit to get past Cyclops' energy shield deflection, meaning that he doesn't suffer the +2 penalty for shooting at Cyclops, because Cyclops is so agile and is used to ranged attacks. So he needs to roll an 8 to hit Cyclops. He rolls an 8, Cyclops gets a token. That is what happens. Now let's make it a narrative. The exact same solution. Cyclops is within the battle, but even though he doesn't have standard sight, he's using his ears and his training in the danger room for years and years and years to be aware of everything around him, and he's really good at dodging out of the way using his sight to slide him across the floor. But Batman, who's been hiding in the bush, sums up Cyclops. He sees Cyclops' fighting style, and he knows that Cyclops always uses his eyesight to push him to the left. So Batman readies his Batarang with the line around it and throws it a little more left than Cyclops would actually feint him to do. And he rolls an 8, and he wraps Cyclops' legs up in monofilament cord because he's Batman. And Cyclops is stuck for a turn wondering what happened. You see the difference between the two? You know, it is one thing to say I check for traps and check for traps. It's another thing to say I pull out my thieves kit and I throw a handful of ball bearings on the floor searching for pressure plates. And I'm listening to hear if there's a metal plate on what looks like a stone floor. You know, when you're playing a game, I don't care if it's a video game, as in an MMORPG or Batman or the Spider-Man game on the PS, whatever number they're up to at this point, or Warhammer or War Machine or whatever. Everything we do is a representation of something that happens in a narrative. This is what a lot of modelers and gamers mean when they talk about giving a story to every model that you paint. Okay? Who's this team? Okay, yeah. It's my 1,000 Suns versus your Custodes. But why are they there? What are they looking for? How do the 1,000 Suns feel about the Custodes? There is a lot of fun in crafting the narrative, especially on the spot. Now, we don't have to write 30,000 words for an entire freaking game. We don't have to do that. Okay? If I was going to use my carbine that has an attack of 1 and an armor penetration of 2, you know, then yeah, okay, fine. I hit on 3s. I'm rolling a 3. And I hit once. Okay. Or I missed all the times. All right, I missed everything. If that is where you leave the thought process, you're cutting half the fun out of the experience. Okay? You really are. But my guy missed, and let's say the custodian guy would be like, yeah, your guy did miss because my custodian saw you there and he started dancing, you know. If something happens, and this is something that I see people do a lot when they cope with a terrible dice roll, and it keeps the fun in the game. All right? My rats attack your robot. Yes, your robot is 11 feet tall, but that's all the rats can do, so let's do it. I hit on 5s. Oh my god, I hit you on 5s. And the robot's like, I have a defensive 2 up. You know, so my rats went dink, 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 and the robot's like, what? And then the robot strikes back. The robot uses a stomp attack. Stomp, 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 stomp. and kills 4 of the 8 rats that were there with one attack, you know? So it's like the rats went, and the robot was like, what? Stomp, 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 get off me, you know? Just imagining that can be funny and fun, you know, instead of, I have it in my heart to eliminate you off the table because the numbers are in my favor, ha! And I fail. This is what can cut through some of those feel-bad moments, is adding a story, you know? One of the 40K channels I watch, it's called Tabletop Tactics. Love those guys. If I had the money, I would subscribe to their, I would become like, actually I would buy their app so I can get all of their content. But I don't have the money because you guys aren't subscribing. Yeah. No, I'm not calling y'all out. Anyway, and since they're a big channel, they get a lot of stuff early, so they have all the cool stuff like Vashtor when he came out, and you know, they make so many noises and so many character sounds. One of the dudes is like, "Oh, I'm Vashtor. Vashtor's good with machines. Vashtor happy. Vashtor come. Vashtor come. Vashtor brought 8 tanks and 9 crawlers," and one of the crawlers is like, "Yes, I was a guy once, you know." And they're playing pretend and not just rolling dice, okay? This is what I mean when I say narrative versus numbers. I don't mean the narrative of the meta plot, because when you look at any game, any game, there is a narrative to be had, okay? There's always a meta narrative. With Warhammer 40K, there's over 400 books. With one-page rules, they just finished their world book for Grimdark Future. For Dungeons and Dragons, dude, you know, there are so many and so much narrative that can be put out there. However, that's meta narrative. That's huge world stuff. When you're creating your armies, building your decks, you can build them around a personal narrative, a personal story, you know? I mean, yeah, when you're playing a tabletop war game, you are the general commanding the troops to go left, right, purple, up, you know? But you can give personalities to those troops. One of the things that a lot of folks suggest when playing, say, a tabletop role-playing game is to name your characters. What's the character's name? And if you watch a lot of playthroughs like I do, you'll notice that a lot of people say I. They say I and me. I check for traps. Versus Vashtor checks for traps. You know, Grishnak. Grishnak shall beat the door wide open. You know, versus I beat the door open. Now, the I things make it personal, and it helps with immersion, okay? And there's a thing to be said about that. But if the immersion isn't helping, a different technique could be giving a narrative. You know? Just a plain old narrative. Hey, look, you know, this killer can goes forward because the goblins are going and they've got the thing hot wired and they're pulling left and they're pulling right and they try and go for a swing, but oh no, the wire came out, you know, something like that. And this is something I've been practicing for a long time. One of my best friends cannot stand dice rolls. He can't stand them. Again, he plans everything perfectly, and then the dice tell a story. But when the dice tell a story, I tell a counter story. You know? I remember I was playing a game with him, and I hit one of his named characters with a swarm of something, and he had it made up in his mind that a named character with all of these things should be able to take out all this stuff because he was caught up in the meta narrative that's established in the books and not for gameplay. And I'm like, that's one way to look at it. But these guys are poisonous and crazy, and they're attacking you like a swarm of is. You can think of it like each one of these figures isn't just one guy. This is like 6 guys, and your guys got taken down by like, yeah, I attacked you with 11 guys. So by the numbers, yes, there was no way I was going to lose easily because I was rolling 36 dice to attack him, and they exploded on high numbers. So yeah, I was going to hit him hard about 12 times out of that 36. Those are the numbers. And yes, I do calculate the odds. However, I tend to err on the side of awesome, which means, again, I don't optimize the fun out of the game. I'm like, you're in the line of sight of those guys, and they're coming at you. Oh, look, you must be more stuff to eat, And a lot of the times they come out and they take out a guy, and other times they don't. A lot of the times they're like, and then they get stomped to oblivion. Sometimes the gun jams. Sometimes a random piece of dice roll takes everything away from my grand plan, my little scheme, And that's part of the fun of games. Okay, it really is. Not just to be, look at how clever I am, I've done everything efficiently. But also, I'm fighting an uphill battle, and look at how long I withstood, There are hundreds of ways to play. Hundreds of ways. And again, numbers versus narrative. If you get in the habit of looking at each game like a certain set of numbers when you're calculating probability, and that is all you see, if that's the way you have fun with it. Okay? But if that's not working to have fun, and you find yourself what I call emotionally activated, or tilted, or triggered, or off center, there's a different perspective that we can look at it with. We can add narratives to the thing, At the end of a lot of tabletop war games, players like to choose their MVPs. And that says a lot about how they see games. Some folks pull the MVP figure as the one that did the most damage, or the one that scored the most points, or the one that caused the biggest complication, or the one that lived the longest. Just like, I can't believe this guy lasted 3 turns and held back 4 units of guys just by himself. He's just like, yeah, let's go up. No, you missed. Yeah. All right, fine. Yeah, I got hit with a rock. That happens. But for 3 rounds, that one figure held 25% of the board by themselves. That is awesome. Like an Avengers Endgame, and Doctor Strange is literally holding back a tidal wave during the freaking climax fight. So, all of these things, doing narratives and adding personal stories are definitely ways of getting through a game and optimizing fun. Oh, what? Yeah, that's right. Instead of optimizing the fun out of a game, we can switch our perspectives just a little to optimize the fun of a game. All right, if the dice aren't in our favor, we can make up stories. Maybe yeah, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I've taken my army out and they were just up against an army that was put together by a very efficient list builder who plays in a tournament styles. And I'm like, that's okay. My entire army was drunk. It's like, yeah, no, I haven't actually made a successful magic casting in 2 turns. I think this guy's just been drunk off of his potions. So he's going to go up and he's going to cast smite. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. And he says the words, Klaatu, Verata, Nickel? Necktie? No, he said it. All right, that's cool. And my opponent is looking at me like, this guy is insane, but why am I laughing? And these are like hardcore players that are like, this isn't a game. This is my lifestyle. I am here to win. I win efficiently. I win this. And then they play against me and they're like, I shouldn't be laughing so much. Like, I've had players ask me, how can you still have this much fun and not win a single game in 3 months? And I let them know. I enjoy the play. I see the narrative. I see the narratives. I see how things could go wrong. I add random things in. I tell the stories of the games, When I was teaching my godson, he was using orcs. My adopted daughter was using the Sisters of Battle. And the orcs had scout, and they came in, and the commandos just rough rided up just a plain old sisters unit. And then the Sacrosanct came in. They're like, what did you do to my sister? And they came in, and every single one, I'm like, man, you hit those orcs with like 11 dice with AP4. They're just sitting up. Oh, no, I know you didn't do that to my sister. And they start taking off their earrings and slicking back their hair. And they're grabbing their stick. And the whole time, they're just talking crap. They're just going straight up Destiny's Child versus Jay-Z on this whole thing. And my daughter looked at me and she's like, I'm really liking the story that you're putting with this. I'm like, you could put that stuff there too. It's not just about the die rolls. And they had a blast. And my godson is former military. So he's like, we have to go in there and we have to focus fire. We got to do this. And I'm like, dude, your orcs, they're all wearing wife beaters. So they're just going in there, vatos locos, man. Look at all oh man, they're going in there. They're like, hey, chica, oh no. And, the other guy's going, dude, that's a nun, homie. It's like, hey, she ain't taking her vows yet, And the whole time, they're just laughing at the story that I put. And I'm like, y'all try it, Dare to put a narrative on your game in order to have more fun with it. Not necessarily all the fun, but this is like adding a $20 bill to a combo meal. You're at McDonald's, you've got the quarter pounder with cheese, but if the quarter pounder with cheese came with a $20 bill, it tastes a little bit better. And if the quarter pounder with cheese tastes awful, might even give you a little bit of the bubble guts, that $20 bill that it came with takes a little bit of the edge off of the bubble gut. You could be like, oh, God, yeah, but I got $20 from it. That's kind of cool, especially since it costs $14. So, they gave you $26 for it. They gave you $6 for it when it comes down to it. So, you know what I mean? These are the numbers, or this is the narrative. Now, the numbers can get a little daunting, okay? How many dice do I roll? What's my probability of hitting? A lot of the times, newer players with video games, board games, card games, RPGs, they hit analysis paralysis because they're so busy calculating what the best move is. All right? It's like, well, I do 1d8 damage with my firebolt, but I do 1d6 damage with my life sap. And I do 1d6 damage with this cantrip, but I could spend a sorcery point to twin spell it and use 2 different targets. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I can do. And I can do the most damage in a single turn, versus I'm going to try and do this and see where the story goes. Now, I talked to my kid about different play styles. I have a fan on, so it's not doing my lighters any well. This is terrible. Oh, no wonder. I'm almost out of fluid. Um, and they were telling me that it takes a lot to create a character in an RPG. That's better. Little bit of magic, little bit of technology. Gotta love it all. It takes a lot of time and energy, and then people get emotionally connected to their stuff. But remember, guys, it's just a game. And if your D&D character dies, okay, that's cool. But you can also play that character in a different game, you know, with a different GM or a different game with the same GM. Either way, it's just a game, you know. It's great to have your stuff feel real, you know. When you're playing in the narrative, it's really cool to have that self-insert thing. However, when you're self-inserted and emotionally connected to your game pieces or to your characters to the point where you have to do all the numbers to minimize all risk, I have to ask you the question, are you playing a game? Like, is this actually a game to you at this point? And this isn't one of those things of somebody going, "You're not playing a game right." Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not saying that at all. For me personally, that sounds like work. It sounds like a whole lot of effort to have some fun, but the fun is being overshadowed by fear. Okay? But that's how I play. You know, that's what I do. I'm not a type A personality that has to have everything planned out to the nth degree. Oh God, ash up my nose. Kind of wish it could be, but I've never had the resources for that. I've always been a fix the mistake after it's been made kind of guy. But I did today's show to show you guys some of the pitfalls, the traps, you know. When it comes to optimizing the fun out of a game, one of the biggest pitfalls, the biggest traps, the hugest phrase that I hear is, well, why don't I just? Okay, this is a big thing in storytelling. I am fully cognizant of how stories get weird, and a lot of the times the good guy wins because the bad guy suffers from the stupid. All right? Or the good guy has more complication because they do something stupid or careless. Greatest example of this was Sarah in Labyrinth. Okay? The little worm shows her an opening, and the worm says, "Don't go that way. Don't ever go that way." And so she says, "Okay," and goes the other way. And then the worm, you know, we cut to the worm, and the worm is saying she'd have kept going that way, she would have gone straight to that castle. And real talk, that's where she was going. Now, I tell people all the time, in regards to movies, TV, cartoon, books, and comics, if the characters take the most efficient route, there's no story. You know, in one of our shows in the past, I talked about the Trey Parker storytelling technique of but and therefore. Okay? A character has a goal, and in order for a good story to happen, something has got to get in the way of that goal. You know? The kids want to go play paintball. But they have to have partners that are older because they're under 12. Therefore, they have to find someone to play with them. And they find someone to play with them. But the people that play with them are jerks. Therefore, and it just goes back and forth with the buts and therefore. And then at the end of it, you have a story. Like a complete story that's out there. And that's the stuff that we talk about later to our friends. I want you guys to think about this. Have you ever sat down to play a game? Everything went exactly like it was supposed to. Like you were playing, say, a game of Magic with a friend of yours, and every card you drew was a land, followed by a free draw, followed by a cool monster or something that destroyed the other player's land. Okay? Is that something that you tell your friends about? Like, dude, I had an awesome game because, oh my God, everything I did just totally shut down the other player and they weren't able to draw. Like, seriously, I won the whole game on turn 1. If you have you done it more than once? That playing was not what was fun in that thing, psychologically speaking. The novelty of its rarity, psychologically speaking, was where the fun came from. Okay? Because that never happens. But do you tell people about your trips to the grocery store if they're uneventful? I went to the grocery store to get groceries. I had enough money. I got my groceries. I went home. There were no car wrecks. There was nothing newsworthy. Didn't get a flat tire. I drove to the grocery store. I got my groceries. There really wasn't even any sales going on. Everything was priced as advertised. I got what I needed. I went home and I emptied my car and put the food in the fridge. Is that a story that you tell a lot? Because it is something that we do a lot. We don't talk to our friends about a standard trip to the bathroom. We talk to our friends about that one time I had to go so bad. And then when I did, it was like my knees melted. Oh my God. I was just like, oh, the mundanity of things provides the environment under which we want to play games in the first place. But if we optimize the fun out of those games and only focus on the numbers, what we do is we take the escapism of our actions and we bring it down to the same banal, mundane experience as our day-to-day work. Okay? Let's be real, guys. Comics, tabletop miniatures games, role-playing games, they're not cheap when you pay for them. Okay? They're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. However, they're not just not cheap. There's something that tickles our fancy. They excite us. There's something that takes our mind off of the TPS reports, the flat tires, the need for a new transmission, But if we take all that stuff, hope you get to where you're going, pal. When we take all that stuff away and we put it down to probability, in short, if we take out the wonder, we take out the imagination, then what are we left with outside of those same reports, the same Zoom meetings with our bosses, the same actions that feel like they have no impact, the alienation of daily life, okay? But when we do our escapism thing, okay, when the X-Men fight Magneto, chances are we know they're going to win. Okay, we know that the good guys win, bad guys lose. We already know that. Okay? Oh, that's so much better. But when we watch everything and we have those moments of will it happen? Will it not? You know, is Captain America going to lose his shield? Oh no, Rhodey suffered a spinal injury. You know what I'm talking about? Those moments of stuff that could go wrong are the things that keep us invested in the stories and the fun and the stuff that we can do. So when it comes to optimizing the fun out of the game, beware. Be very wary. You know, I'm not saying just put anything together and go out and play with it and go whoop, whoop, woo. That's too far on the other end of the spectrum. But if you can play games and put together your list with themes, or experiments, you can have so much fun with suboptimal. You know, how do I know this? I grew up playing video games, okay? But not on a console. When I was a kid, one of the biggest games out there was Street Fighter 2. Okay? Huge game. Okay, it just blew the top off of the fighting game thing. And we couldn't track bit rates or anything like that because, one, we didn't have it at home. There was no playing online. We were in an arcade, a big, musty, sweaty room full of all these gaming cabinets and a whole bunch of other teenagers, or in my case, at a liquor store with 5 to 8 kids crowded around it, blocking the walkway. All right? If you were efficient, you would beat the game. And guess what happened when you beat the game? It was over. Your quarters were gone. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that no one plays inoptimally. All right? One thing I've definitely seen, especially with video games, on computers and on consoles, is once a person beats the game. In my day, we called that getting through story mode. They would go back through and look for the stuff. They would find the hidden things. They would then try and be like, on this one, I'm going to beat the game only talking my way through. I don't want to throw a single punch. Or better yet, I don't want to start a fight. And if someone tries to fight me, I'm going to run away and see if I can leave their aggro zone. You know, there are 100 ways to do it. And I noticed that in video games, people do that after they've beaten the game, using the efficient things and stuff like that. But remember, guys, there's a feeling that comes with a new game. When you first open it up, you first learn the controls. I think the Souls series, Dark Souls and the other one with blood or something, they were great because those games were hard. There was, you know, you could be as efficient as you want. You were still going to die about 40, 50, 60 times. That definitely helped to cut through the maximum amount of risk aversion that a lot of people play games with. Now, this is a tabletop channel. Okay, so this is totally tabletop. I'm all the way there. With tabletop gaming, remember, it's not like, well, in most places, I'm not at your house, but in most places, people don't say, I've taken down your tank, and then they bust up your mini with a hammer. You know, I actually saw an anime that was like that. But yeah, that's not what folks do. If you lose your character, I can tell you, regardless of how much people whine and complain online, we all have lost a character and made a backup character that was just like it. You know, the unknown twin. No, this is Guy Incognito. He just happens to be a thief with a 5 backstab bonus, and he gets the gear of the dead body of the other guy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. And his name is Guy. And my last guy was Goy. Yes, yes, that's it. That's the whole thing. You know? I mean, that's a real and serious thing. You know? But there is, and our next show is going to be about the myth of sportsmanship, okay? This idea that optimization is the only way to success and to fun is not true. It really isn't true. And I've seen hundreds of players over the course of my gaming career lose the fun and end up angry all the time in spaces that are specifically meant to be fun. You know, I would spare you guys that misery. I really would. So, have fun with your narratives. Have fun playing your games. All right? And if y'all got any questions on that front, it's real simple. All you got to do, if y'all got questions for me on that front, is pull up your email or your phone or wherever and type in backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK @gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on Twitter or Instagram @backinthedeck. You can also reach out to me on TikTok. And if you're part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Facebook, join the group Deckers on the Book. I'm going to try and catch more. I've got a little time off before my next job, so I'm going to be broadcasting a lot more between now and then. But in the meantime, have fun with your narratives, guys. Create your characters, play with your toys, and remember that if anybody tells you that you're doing it wrong or you can't like the games you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disabilities, neurodivergencies, or your budget, you can look them dead in the eye and tell them to take any of those cards they're playing on you and put them back in the deck. This is Solar Grey, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys for coming out and joining me, and we will see you next time on the dark side of the room.